Jehovah, the God of the Jehovah's Witnesses, is not only in the privy, he's in the privy in the phone with the real estate agents trying to sell some kingdom halls.
So in that aspect, I say that Alex Jones did a better job predicting the future than the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
That says something about a religion when Alex Jones does a better job in predicting the future than your religious organization. Look, it's dead. Watchtower is dead. Look, let's look at the facts. Last video, we talked about how Alex Jones has a better track record of predicting the future than Jehovah's organization here on earth. I didn't call that organization Jehovah. Watchtower calls it Jehovah's organization here on earth. They printed millions of books. They're over here predicting the future. But let's talk about how Alex Jones has a better track record than these people who have Jehovah's blessing.
But I want to talk about China, the world power China, and through the prism of the Watchtower and Alex Jones.
Correct.
Because this is the most consequential subject in mankind in our lifetime.
Correct.
The most consequential, because the rise of China can only mean a detriment to the freedoms of the Western Hemisphere, Western civilization.
Correct.
I.e. the United States Constitution, freedom of religion. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones, if you do a quick search, you go through weed all the bad stuff out. Just specifically talk about the last, the China virus, talk about the rise of China, artificial intelligence, and the influence that it plays on world affairs. Watchtower does not even come into the equation. At least Alex Jones is talking about it. Is he right about it? Is he wrong about it? It doesn't matter. He's in the game. It's like if we're comparing these organizations. Let's say it's a World Series game. Mm-hmm. At least Alex Jones shows up to the game.
Yes.
Watchtower is nowhere to be found on the most consequential subject of our lifetime, the rise of China as a world power. They've always said that an Anglo-American world power was going to be the last one before the destruction. And so what we're seeing with our own eyes right now is the rise of a new world power.
Correct.
This shows that Watchtower has been wrong about everything. Everything. They did not mention the rise of China as a world power.
Well, let me just stop right there. If you were to do a search of the Revelation book, that's right there, the Revelation book, and you were to type in the word China, you would not find the word China anywhere.
I went page by page, paragraph by paragraph. Maybe somebody could comment. Maybe they found it. I didn't. I couldn't. But I actively went through every page, every paragraph of the Revelation book, the Apocalypse. We studied it about 4 times. Mm-hmm. When my mom was still alive, I remember I was in her group. We studied it 4 times in the congregation. I don't ever remember reading the word China. And if you go to jw.org, you see Russia. They sound like Marsha from the Brady Bunch. Mm-hmm. All they do is talk about Russia this, Russia that. They sound like the Democrat National Campaign smear committee on Donald Trump. They mention Russia so much. It sounds like Russia collusion. Go to their website and go to the news. They're obsessed with Russia. But not one time do they ever mention China. Go today. Go to their website. Go to their website and look at their news. Russia. Nothing on China. And they're all zoomed out. You think they would have something about their artificial intelligence, about the Zoom meetings, something talking about China, the Wuhan virus, the vaccines, something pertaining to Russia, good or bad. Correct. I'm not saying nothing negative about China. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is that China is of consequence. Watchtower won't even speak about them.
Okay, hold on real quick. Stop right there, because Watchtower tried to use the Matthew 24 thing, says that there's going to be great pestilence and, all that good stuff, right?
Right.
So, but when Watchtower tries to play the Matthew 24 card on diseases and pestilence, they never mention China. Mm-hmm. So here they are trying to make a prediction of the end, and they're not saying, well, where are these things coming from? Where are these diseases and infectious pestilences coming from?
Right.
Crickets.
Right. And here's the thing. There's a track record of us talking about this because you could say, well, they're a politically neutral organization. First of all, we're not talking politics.
Yes.
We're talking world events. And that's what the Watchtower and Awake magazines, they were examining world events through the prism of biblical prophecy.
Correct.
China doesn't fit in Bible prophecy.
Yeah.
They talked about Hitler. They talked about Napoleon. They talked about every world leader. But they can't mention the rise of China.
Correct. So if we are living in the end, that Watchtower says, like Stephen Lett says, we're living in the end.
The
like this
final
clip.
part of the last days.
You mean to tell me that
undoubtedly the final part
China
of the
has
final
nothing
part
to
of the
do
last days.
in the
Shortly
arena in the
before
Teddy, you're basically
last
talking about
day
Teddy Roosevelt,
of the
the man
last
in the arena. So you mean to tell me that in the end, if this were the end, China has no role to play and they're quiet about it? It just doesn't make sense from a religious point of view, where here you are, God's spokesperson, and you totally missed the ball and you had no comment about China.
Right.
That's all we're saying. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Okay, it doesn't exist. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no landline. There's no 5G. Jehovah doesn't have no communication with Watchtower when it comes to earthly events in the last days. If it doesn't mention China, that's how great a consequence China played in today's earth. And so in that aspect, I say that Alex Jones did a better job predicting the future than the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. At least he's mentioning artificial intelligence, the rise of China as a superpower, as an economic power, as a navy power. Watchtower doesn't even mention nothing. Doesn't say if it's the king of the north, king of the south. It doesn't even show up at all. And that in itself is very suspect. Very suspect. Because what I'm saying here is the guilt by omission.
Correct.
The guilt by omission. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just real.
Anybody out there can try it at home. Just predict anything. Mm-hmm. You're doing better than Watchtower.
Yeah.
Watchtower's not even doing that. Yeah, right. And you know they can't play like we were talking about. They can't play dumb. This is the person that their governing body. He went out there and said we're living in the last days of the last days of the final part of the last days. I mean, you can't get more final than that.
Part of the last days.
That's a big prediction on the part of Stephen Lett, the governing body. And he got that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Made no mention. Made no mention of China, and actually made no mention of the lockdowns. Made no mention of the COVID vaccine. Whereas there's record on Band.video where Alex Jones has that DVD that you could buy, Endgame, and he's on tape. And then if you go on Twitter and you type in the word Alex Jones was right or something like that, there's so many videos out there of him saying these things 5-10 years before they happened. So, and this is the thing. Watchtower, Alex Jones says he's not a prophet. He says, hey, the difference is I actually read the pieces of paper, the white papers, that were coming out of these organizations. So you mean to tell me that Watchtower had a staff of people and they weren't even reading the same pieces of paper that were coming out? You know, so they weren't watching the world, is what I'm saying. They have a magazine that says, "Oh, watching the world." They weren't watching the world because here's some regular Joe Blow that didn't go to college. They're in Texas, is reading these things, and he's not predicting the future. He's just telling you, "Hey, this is what these guys plan to do." So, again, it goes back to show that that says something about a religion when Alex Jones does a better job in predicting the future than your religious organization, than your religious church. And maybe it's because your religious organization has something up their sleeve, or maybe they're in on it. Maybe and with the Bible, like the New World Translation, you mean to tell me that Watchtower with the New World Translation isn't somehow connected to these New World Order types? And then
you know what? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I do know the facts on the ground. Mm-hmm. Watchtower has embraced the New World Order's COVID lockdowns. Mm-hmm. They have embraced it. lock, stock, and barrel. The face mask, the Zoom meetings, the freedom of association out the window. They have embraced the New World Order. Those are the facts. You cannot deny it. They're not. Their kingdom halls are closed. They're not meeting physically. It would eliminate. Now listen to me. This is bold. It would eliminate the life and times of Jesus Christ. What Watchtower has embraced. It would eliminate the lives and times of all the martyrs of history. Freedom of association is so important to the Western civilization. That Watchtower embracing this would eliminate even the ministry of Jesus Christ. He couldn't go to the synagogues. He couldn't go to the temple. He couldn't go to the Garden of Gethsemane. He couldn't do the things if we were under what Watchtower has embraced. They have embraced a demonic, anti-human, anti-freedom of association lifestyle that goes contrary to the first century Christians. They're always trying to say that they're the first century Christian prototype. No, they're not. They are the prototype of hell on earth. They have nothing in common with first century Christians. Nothing. And so that's what I'm talking about, the guilt by omission, what they're not reporting. And it shows up in their bad predictions,
Correct.
Yeah, imagine Jesus couldn't associate. They didn't have Zoom. How would he congregate with the 12 apostles? Would he be social distancing on the Last Supper? Come on, man. Watchtower, come on, man. Like Joe Biden says, come on, man.
Listen, I listen to...
Imagine Jesus with the face mask in the Last Supper?
Yeah, listen, I listen to a lot of financial guys, and my favorite guy, his name is Andy Sheckman. Probably one of the... Man, God, I love this guy. He's a silver dealer. But anyways, he uses the phrase, price is a tool of misdirection. And so there's these certain words and phrases that have stayed over the centuries because they're true. So what happens, a lot of times you see a price like a lost leader, but it's really it's to misdirect you. It's just to get you in because once they get you into the store, it's going to be a bait and switch. And Jesus talked about that when he talked about people are going to say, "Hey, look, I'm over here," or "Jesus is over here." It's a bait and switch. Jesus talked about bait and switch. They were trying to get you to believe. So this thing about the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm kind of trying to lost my track there, but it is a bait and switch. It is a misdirection. They're misdirecting their followers, and instead of embracing freedom, they're sending them to a different road. They're saying, "Hey, the detour is over here." So they're like the sheep to the slaughter. It is, a couple years ago when you listened to Mike and Kim, I thought they were crazy. The Jonestown, Guyana. But I kept quiet. I thought, I'm just, that's a little stretch. No, because it goes back to misdirection. They're purposely being misdirected. And the road that misdirection takes you, the lost leader, the bait and switch, it's a road to hell. It's a road to a living hell on earth.
Can I give an example of the misdirection? And let me throw it to see, maybe I'm wrong. Watchtower all our lives preached the worldwide empire of false religion.
There you go.
Since I was a little kid, I instinctively, if you break that sentence down, and maybe somebody in your comment section is an English professor, but if they break that sentence down, I always thought the worldwide empire, scratch that part out, of false religion. What does that mean, false religion? Well, any religion is a religion. It's a true religion. Correct. So the sentence is not correct. False religion. Let's say you have the Catholic Church, a Protestant church. It's not a false religion. It is a true religion. It is a religion.
By definition.
By definition, is a religion. But if you use the word false religion, it would denote that it's not a religion. It's false religion, aka something else. That would identify an organization. An organization is not a religion. A religion is specifically a religion. So Watchtower would be a false religion. Because they're an organization. They're telling you, they're misdirecting you.
Yes. Because they're telling you that they don't say that they're Jehovah's religion here on earth. They're telling you they're Jehovah's organization here on earth.
Exactly.
It's a bait and switch. It's the price. It's the lost leader. The price of misdirection. That's what they do. Is they play around with his language. They use it as a tool to misdirect you. And Jesus warned about this. He says, "Hey, they're going to say I'm over here. It's look to the left, look to the right." When Jesus is telling you, no, you got to look forward. You got to be forward thinking. Mm-hmm.
In our study, we always understood that the communists, that's what they did. The Marxists did what they did. And they taught us as little kids in school during the Cold War that the communists were always saying in Russia, oh, we invented baseball. We invented electricity. They would lie about everything, that they were the first in space. They were the first this. They were always the first that. They were trying to outdo the United States. And even if they had to redefine a specific word, Marxists always redefine a certain word. That's what the Jehovah's Witness, and it's almost like a boomerang. It's always coming back to haunt them. Let me give you an idea. In the October 2019 Awake, they talked about the Awake magazine being a source of comfort to the world. Along comes COVID, and their Kingdom Hall shut down. Mm-hmm. Nobody's getting the Watchtower and Awake magazine. It's almost like the 10 plagues. I always talk about the 10 plagues of Egypt. This is a plague that's affecting the Awake magazine. It is of no comfort to the world. It is of absolutely no comfort. They're bringing comfort to no one, that magazine.
Correct.
Isn't it funny? Everything is switched with these. Like you're talking about a bait and switch. Mm-hmm. They're talking about it, the Awake magazine being the 100-year anniversary of this magazine, and it's going to bring comfort to the world. Along comes COVID. The biggest fizzle. Mm-hmm. No comfort.
Look, it's dead. Watchtower is dead. Look, let's look at the facts. You can't give a number 2 talk, Bible reading. You can't give a number 3 talk. There are no more demonstrations for door-to-door field services. There are no more demonstrations, right, on how to conduct Bible studies. It's over, man. There's no more circuit assemblies. There's no more regional assemblies. There's no more district conventions. It's all over. There's no more Bethel tours. Jesse, there's no more Bethel tours. You just go down the damn list. There's no more Kingdom Halls being built. So the whatever committee that they decide to change the name to now, it's defunct. It doesn't exist. The only committees they have are the Kingdom Hall selling committees, right? The Kingdom Hall property committees, for sale. Kingdom Halls for sale committee. So instead of contractors being part of this committee, now we have Jehovah's Witness real estate agents. It's completely flipped. The Watchtower religion is dead by every measure.
And what's interesting? On the last one we talked about the talents, Matthew 25, 14 to 30. I can't remember his first 30, but anyways, Matthew 25, 14. The 3 servants of the master that were given talents, 5, 2, and 1, right? Or was it 5, 3, and 1? I can't remember. It was 8. Yeah, 5, 2, and 1.
5, 2, and 1.
And something interesting was that at the end of that parable, Jesus talks about the bitterness and the that one who was given much, much will be given to him. One who receives a little bit, even what he doesn't have will be taken away. But at the end of the parable, if you remember, after that, after the consequence of it taking it away, it talks about bitterness and gnashing of teeth. The gnashing of teeth by that one bad servant. That's the way Jehovah's servants are. When you bring them this information, when you tell them, hey, your religion is dead. You guys are the only church in the whole community that is giving no witness. You guys aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. You guys are no witness. Mm. And then you get a gnashing of teeth. They're angry. They are bitter. They're so bitter their hair turns white. That's what I have noticed in my town. They're bitter. When I bring this up to them in any conversation, even in a nice conversation, hey, what's up? You guys are the only church not open. Hey, be careful. I told a certain elder, hey, they disfellowshipped a young kid. I go, hey, you better be careful. This kid commits suicide. It's on your watch. Mm-hmm. And I'll hound you to the gates of hell. And I remember them gnashing their teeth instead of being worried about the kid that they disfellowshipped. So it was just a point that I wanted to mention, that the gnashing of teeth. I found that very interesting in that parable.
So they're the Joe hell no witnesses. JOE. The Jehovah's Witnesses. Hell
Well,
no.
you remember when we were kids, we used to watch Welcome Back. We used to watch Welcome Back, Carter. We used to watch Fat Albert.
Yeah.
And every week there was a new no class joke. You know, you remind me of 305. 305? Yeah, no class. You know, every week there was a no class joke.
Yeah.
Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses are literally the no witness.
Yeah, they're the no
And
witness.
it goes back to the Egyptian plagues. That's another plague right there. They call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're the only ones not giving a witness. It looks like everything is always turned against them, boomerangs them.
Yeah,
they pick the name, and they coming back to haunt them.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when Elijah, when he goes, hey, call on your God. Maybe your God is in the privy. But Jehovah, the God of the Jehovah's Witnesses, is not only in the privy, he's in the privy in the phone with the real estate agents trying to sell some kingdom halls that he's going to rip off some unsuspecting Jehovah's Witnesses, in your neighborhood. So here they are saying that their God is great. And Elijah, the prophet, said, okay, well, let me see where your God is at. Your God is nowhere to be found. Is nowhere to be found because, it's a false God. The Jehovah's Witnesses worship a false God. And it doesn't matter how you pronounce his name, whether you put a Y in front of it or a J in front of it. At the end of the day, Jesus says, man, a good tree does not give bad fruit, right? A bad tree doesn't give good fruit. So this, and it goes back to Price is a misdirection, the bait and switch, and I'm not afraid anymore. And if I go to hell, well, so be it. But I'm not afraid to go to hell because, I'm over here talking about Jehovah with the J or with the Y, or it's spelled this way, it's pronounced that way. All that right there is a misdirection. Because if we're Jehovah's people and we're the only ones using Jehovah's name with the capital J, well, then you have to obey me. Well, I have to obey these clowns right over here, these stupid clowns, these white privileged nerds that now have power, and because they invented this name, that I now have to obey them when it comes to who I marry or who I date or whether or not I can go to prom or whether or not I can play baseball, Little League. I mean, who the hell do these people think they are? And then they have the nerve to say that they're God's people, they're Jehovah's people. I don't care how you pronounce it. I don't care how you spell it. Because when you spell God's name this way, when you spell God's name that way, when you pronounce it with this way, or you pronounce it with a J or with an H or with a whatever, all that is misdirection. It's misdirection, and it's trying to get you confused so that way they can put the handcuffs on you. And if I go to hell, so be it.
Well, you know what? When you talk about misdirection, I was always obsessed with history. And you remember in the San Diego convention, I think it was 2012, my family was sitting with your family, and we were all sitting together. And they did the resolution to close the assembly. And they were doing a world power resolution that the United States Anglo-American Empire was the last before the coming of Armageddon. And I always wondered, why the hell would they do this? Why? And so I took them at face value. They did their resolution. But now in 2021, it's 9 years later, 10 years later, we find out that they were so wrong. There's never been an organization so wrong about so many things. Getting back to the original theme about Alex Jones being a better prognosticator of the future events than the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. It's so true. It's almost embarrassing. It is. They call themselves God's channel. There has to be some kind of karma. There has to be some kind of justice where they could blaspheme lie after lie after lie to thousands of people. And then the interesting part is you'll have a stadium full of witnesses who will clap like seals, but nobody will hold the Watchtower to account. Nobody in San Diego will go to New York and say, hey, brothers, remember in 2012 assembly you did this world resolution? Well, you really screwed that one up.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. You were paying attention to that, but you didn't pay attention to all of it. And I told you something, and you couldn't believe it until Rocky Ramos parroted what I said. Now, if you look behind me, you see the map with all those 50 states, right? You see that?
Yeah.
Well, in all of those 50 states, there's also counties. So imagine you have a world map, and all of you have are states and counties, right? You can see the states and counties. Well, here's another one for you, Jehovah's Witnesses. In that assembly, the Jehovah's Witness governing body spoke and taught and they used some obscure text in the Book of Psalms, and they basically said that in the new system, ready? This was the official teaching of Watchtower, that in the new system, that all of those counties were going to have the names of the 144,000. So basically, what it means, instead of calling it Arizona, it would be Rutherfordville. California would be like Nathan Norland or something, and so the whole earth would be divided into basically counties, like what we know them, and the names would denote the 144,000. So Anthony Morris would have his own little state. But they spoke that. Again, like you said, everyone's clapping. Yeah. But nobody remembered that. And then you thought I was crazy when I was telling you that, and then you were having lunch with some of the elders, and they brought that to your attention.
Yeah, I must have been asleep.
Yeah.
I probably dozed off when they said that.
Mm-hmm. Alex Jones basically has a better track record than these Jehovah's Witnesses. And
when it comes to predicting world events, a world consequence of world power. And here's the problem, and this is the reason why I'm so obsessed with this point. To end on a positive note, I believe that Jesus Christ is the best way. Okay, but He's not here with us.
Correct.
So I believe the best answer we have is what our fathers put down on paper in the United States Constitution for us. And that is freedom of religion, freedom of speech. It's very important. And our brothers, our liberal brothers, our ignorant liberal brothers, Jehovah's Witnesses, are siding with tyranny.
Correct.
I believe that I would have a better chance, and my children and my grandchildren will have a better chance with the United States Constitution than they would with another world power. Correct. And I believe my brothers that are stuck in Watchtower are choosing a tyrannical form of government, which they will end up being guillotined. They're going to end up in a very bad shape. A Christian that leaves Christ is condemned to hell.
Correct.
A American who leaves the Constitution, only bad can follow.
Correct. And a lot of smart people who feel the same way you do, they said the same thing. Hey, show me a better place and I'm more than happy to go. But that's the best we have right now. That's the best that we have. It's the best proven track record. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the right to assemble, the right to air our grievances peacefully. This is the greatest thing. Is it perfect? No. But man, it's the greatest thing. And we're saying it today on Memorial Day. And
wrong. Am I wrong?
No.
Given COVID and the lockdown restrictions, would it put an end to the ministry of Jesus Christ?
It shouldn't.
No, it would have.
Imagine
if COVID happened in the first century.
Yeah.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses would have sided with a lockdown.
Yeah.
When there was leprosy, there was tuberculosis, there was a lot of diseases.
Correct.
And they didn't shut down society. There's more here.
There's more here.
Yeah. And why Watchtower would side not on freedom of association, not on freedom of religion, but on lockdowns is very suspect to me. Extremely suspect to me.
Yeah. Well, I made the video, and like I said, it's right there. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, right there. So where it says, hey, they have a New World Translation. It's not a coincidence. It's not suspect to me. They are somehow in the club. I don't know what level they are in, but they're in it.